considering.
Yep. I'd go back to a couple of the events that are ongoing this evening or beneficial too. Ugh.
Yeah. Is the president's reception still?
Yep, and there'll be some entertainment, election results, and then there's yeah. I have a ledge committee it was starting similar time as this, but I've asked them if they could delay it an hour or maybe longer.
Cindy Kelly had recommended that that I check out the inclusionary leadership one. I started watching it, but I didn't get all the way through. Did anyone go to that one?
No, there were several I missed that I hope now, be able to go back now that it's going to be recorded in its entirety and we can look at them. That'd be great. That's going to be a good idea.
There's a whole lot I missed.
Hey, I don't think I've seen you wear a hat before, Brandy. What do you got? Oh, is that Air Force?
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of which, I'm embarrassingly overdue on this, but happy Veterans Day to you, Brandino, Eric, and Jim.
Thank you.
I was thinking about y'all and how much I enjoy working with veterans. Checks in the mail.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
so I don't know that we have a specific agenda today, but more I think a lot of times, most of the time, right now we would be sitting around a table having dinner or maybe even a drink at this point, and just kind of chatting about our day, what's been going on, how things have been going. Kind of by the sounds, like as I said, I literally I attended a 7:15 meeting yesterday morning. I attended the area elections last night, and I listened to 1.5 of the other ones that were from a recording while I was driving back and forth from Port Angeles to Sequim more times than I should have today, but haven't had an opportunity to really sit in on anything live. Much, just a lot of work going on. Last night I was working till actually right up until we had started our WDA or our area election thing. I will say the couple that I did listen to, and I did have our guest speaker, Michael Rayburn. Yesterday I had him going in the background while I was on another work meeting. He was a lot of fun. And then I did listen to part of his other thing last night while I was right prior to our other thing, had it going in the background as well. Any major takeaways from some things? I gotta say the couple that I did either have an opportunity to attend or listen to were pretty good. I was listening to Patty Woods and Cindy McMillan's little thing, and they were doing a role play. Did you do that one, Larry?
Oh yeah, that was excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I got about halfway through it as I was driving back home, and then I had to jump off. So I want to finish that up. But that was I really enjoyed listening to that. That was really good. One thing I have found is there've been a couple of things that have been really good from just a new board member perspective too, or even those of us that have been on for a little while, just reminders of kind of what board protocols are, and board superintendent relationships, because those are the ones I've been mostly attending anyway, is leading with vision, or board chair things and that kind of stuff, which kind of relates to a lot of the board stuff as well. So those have been pretty good. So I like, as I popped in, I think I heard you saying, Larry, hopefully we will have full accessibility for a while to be able to listen to these recordings.
We have till July.
We have until July, actually, so we can just we could like take the one that Patty and Cindy did, have it as a workshop, or some of those other ones too. It's
yeah. What were you gonna say, Larry?
Sorry.
I suggested to WSSDA that they save that one forever, so to speak, and use it for new board member orientation or board members to play, where it's just available on the WSSDA site so we can see it. I thought it was very creative, very well done. And Cindy and Patty have been around enough and are fairly wise people. And they had a pretty good take on what it's like to be a new board member, and answering some of those questions that, well, frankly, I've kind of had to learn on the fly during the year. So that one, and there was another one on called Keep Planning. Oh, I got it all written down here someplace, but I can't. There was another one by Tricia Ubach on governing the discus through board meetings, and leading as a board, that were very good talking about.
Was that the one that had the panel?
She was interviewing 2 board presidents, I think.
2 or 3?
Three
different. Yeah. Yep. That's the other one I listened to. That was really good as well. Kind of those two kind of went hand in hand with some good stuff. There was some good things. The one thing I got to say that I liked too was with Patty's and Cindy's was, that coffee shop start off. It's like sitting down and, do you have any questions? I think one of the things that I found a little bit interesting though too, and I just look at the board as we are here. Larry, you attended a ton of board meetings leading up to becoming a board member. So, there were some of the questions are like, well, what, have you never been to a board meeting before? But point being, we've had people in the past that we've seen that have run for board positions that we've never seen at a board meeting before. And so, that's kind of a, because that does give you a little bit of an idea. But anyway, it was really good. I'm talking too much for attending like 2.5 meetings.
No, I like how much you have about the one, because I didn't see that one, so it does make me want to go check it out.
Yeah, it was this afternoon at 3:15. So I was driving back from Port Angeles home and listened to a good majority of it till I got to the house. So definitely one worth doing for sure.
So I like the Chris Ragdoll, and I don't know if anyone were on for that, but it was interesting the way they did it. They gave you the option to like the question, and that's how they picked which question got asked, was by however many clicks it got by the folks there for liking whichever question. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was another good. I like that. I like that one. I suggested to WSSDA that they might want to do that quarterly or something. I thought it's very informative to have that sit down.
Did seem interesting to hear Chris, well, and obviously really relevant to current situation we're in, but Chris sort of dancing around a little bit that question about the 75 per 100,000. Just put, because that was I believe one of the first questions asked.
Yeah. So Olivia, have you had an opportunity to jump in on any of the workshops?
Just give me 1 second, Brandino.
Okay, absolutely. You bet.
It looks like she's at work. Where does she work?
One of the
Squim Bento?
yeah, I think she changed. She was at Keep Kodo.
Maybe I am thinking Kodo.
Yeah, she was there, and then I think she moved to the one across the road there.
I did get to attend. I attended all of them except for there was one of them I went to it, but then it wouldn't let me go to it. It froze. I think that was the 3:15 one that I was trying to go to today before work. And the main thing that I took away from it is that I need to be a lot more involved compared to how much I am. So most of the boards that I had talked to, their reps were taught by other people. So there was a person on the board that was designated to have us make projects. So we didn't make them ourselves. They would interpretate them us for it. And so I was like, there's no one on the board that gives me ideas for them. So I just try to think of ideas. So I'm brainstorming right now on what we can do. Me and Alyssa, and I don't think that she got the memo that we were supposed to come to the dinner tonight. So I think that's why she's not here. But I got called in, that's why I'm here.
All right, well, I'll let you get thanks. Yeah, do work.
Calling Ventas, can I get started for you?
That's awesome.
That's some dedication right there.
I was gonna say, she's a busy girl.
Talk about multitasking, yeah.
That she is, yeah. To be young,
guys,
young like that.
Let's all call in in order to go.
Yeah, one right after the other. That'd be funny.
That would be fun.
Well, it's supporting our local restaurants, businesses, and people.
I'll have to admit, I ditched a meeting this afternoon and went down to the Oasis and picked up some fish and chips for my wife and some clam chowder for myself. I'd like to go out more often, but the diet, got to watch the diet, but that sounded good. So I ditched the meeting because I knew I could see it later.
Yeah.
And I went down and got some to go.
Larry, they have a great Cobb salad too, if you need to pivot a little.
Yeah, that they do. Their Cobb salad's pretty healthy. From both aspects, from the items and the amount that you get there. For sure.
So I'm embarrassed to ask this because I missed it, but how did the DA4 area elections go? Was that last night?
Yep.
We won't get the results until the 8, the after, where's it at? The 7 to 8:30 after hours president's reception.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, well, yeah, with a little delay with Cindy having trouble to get in to facilitate it. So we could do that from a legal bounds, but what did we have? 3 different positions open, and did you get the invite for the vote there, Brian?
I'm not sure, and I'm embarrassed
Okay.
to say that. I was
Okay,
triple
well-
booked last night. So.
But that's all right. Well, if you did, it was a little. It had to be done by midday today anyway. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got that. Jim, thanks for the heads up.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So we had nominations were last night, and then that was put together to be sent out for the actual vote today. So. Yep.
Well, I'm very pleased with my partner. Actually recruited him, so that's why I nominated him. But as I know, he'll be very active over there out of Central Kitsap, so on that side, and so very, very pleased. But you always hope, or others would nominate. Learn later that Nancy Moffett, who I had nominated for board position, was also interested in ledge committee, but didn't know that. But I knew that Drayton was strongly interested. And the John Berg out of South Kitsap, he's a parliamentarian guru, which for the resolutions committee, but I don't know who what the results of that was yet. And
Right.
well, we won't know until that last session.
Mm-hmm.
Or who will be the board liaison.
Board liaison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because we had 3 nominees there.
Yep.
Yep.
And we always like to try to have folks on this side of the canal and that side of the canal to equal out. And
But it's good to see some of the new blood too get nominated and thrown out there as well. So
yep.
that was good as well. I'm sitting here. I don't know. I've got everybody up on the big screen TV up here, and I'm looking at the computer in this little bitty box. Instead of just sitting back and go, "Hey, there everybody is right up there. There we go." So.
Yep. And there's Olivia taking orders and making to-go boxes. I see.
No.
Well, I also went to Chris Reichdahl's question and answer, and I went to the Crucial Conversations one. And yesterday I went to kind of a fun one, the Visionary Leader with, I think her name was Alex. She was first off in the morning, I think. She was a lot of fun, but she had some good points. But anyway, I thought Chris Reichdahl and Tim, how do you pronounce his last name? Garchow?
Yes.
I thought they really answered a lot of questions, not always to my liking, and some of them were not specific enough or directive enough, but I thought it was an excellent hour of questions and answers. So
Yeah,
I had to get to all of them that I wanted to go to, but I was really busy with COVID the last couple of days. And that kind of seemed to take over. So yeah, so that's those are the ones I went to, and then I went to, I'm trying to think, I went to one other, but I'm really glad they taped them. This is a very different format, but I hope they do this in the future where they'll at least tape the speakers so that people that want to attend virtually can attend virtually. And maybe they attend virtually after if they don't go in person. I mean, it's nice to go in person, but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people have other commitments. And so I thought this was actually kind of a nice way to do it.
Yeah, as I think about, it's like Cape Flattery, that's a long, long, long ways for them to travel, and then their funding. And I know they're in a bit of a crisis mode with COVID right now. And you think of Forts, and then one of our, the Queets Clearwater district, which is way, out there. I didn't see them here, so we'll follow up, see. But no, just the opportunity where these are all taped and we can access for a bit. Very, very helpful. And there was a lot of work done by the planning staff and planning directors and so forth. The musical, from the students, the poems, those were always very inspiring, just to kick off events.
There are a lot of talented young people. That
Indeed.
young girl that sang the Star Spangled Banner, I mean, she had quite a voice.
Yes, I could almost hear a glass breaking all the way through here.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does. It's nice because it gives you an opportunity also, because when you're there, you're like, oh, okay, well, do I go to this one or do I go to this one? And you have to choose. Whereas this, you can choose to do it kind of at the live time, or just go later, and so you don't have to choose as often. And then especially since we're going to have access to it for a bit longer, I mean, you could really spend time and go to and listen to all of them if you wanted to at some point.
For me, whenever there was an option to do a live or one of the events that was synchronous, I would always opt for that because I knew that I could watch the other things later, and I just find that more engaging. Just overall, I just enjoy that live collaborative feeling. The one, I think it was about equity. There was about 30 folks in there, but they just did a lot of breakout rooms, and I think 3 different breakout rooms, which I was, just with me and myself and 3 other board directors from different spots. I thought that was probably my favorite that I attended. Just being able to talk about equity issues and what the struggles and different districts, how they're overcoming things, and of different sizes, and those were great.
Eric, who facilitated that one?
So I know Tim Garshaw was there. I don't think he was the actual facilitator. I don't remember the woman's name who was the actual facilitator. Although if I saw it, I would probably know it.
Oh, okay.
What was the time on it? Because I got it up on my other computer.
That equity one was sometime. Boy, I tell you, today was a crazy day, but I want to say late morning, but it could have been early afternoon. I don't know.
Well, there's one that's called One District's Journey to a Race and Equity Policy.
No.
And that was this afternoon.
Must have been earlier. It was a Zoom link. So when you opened it, it had you open the Zoom link over to the right.
Ah.
So I don't know if it was actually they called it is it an equity committee, but then they said all are welcome kind of thing?
Oh, that's the Equity and Access Committee. Yeah, that's committee caucus. And so, yeah, that's that was this morning. And the chairs of that, one of the board directors is from Shelton and the other one's from Seattle, Siria's her name, SIRI. And yeah, they're good humans. Do a lot of.
One of the big takeaways for me on that, which it's just kind of starting to hit home, it was, as folks were talking about what, what the, sort of the uphill climb that's going to be after this, and not just after, but during the pandemic, but after the pandemic, is that it's, this is one of those situations where it might take years before we are fully recovered from this, both from, academics to try to meet all those deficiencies and to try to catch kids back up. And another board director, I think from, was it? Might have been actually the one from, you might know her, Dr. Pranchu, from North Shore, Amy, I think.
Amy Cass.
Yeah. So she, well, actually, I don't know if it was her, but it was in the group with her. Somebody made the reference, almost compared it to Hurricane Katrina and how long it took down in that area, with just all the recovery and just to get education back and everything. It took years, and it was, yeah. And I didn't really think about it. I think it's so easy to look in the short term, but if we think about lobbying and the resources we're going to need for the state, I mean, we really have to start thinking about what resources we're going to need over the next 2 or 3 years, even to really, try to fill these gaps in.
Mhm. Of course, one of the comments I heard several times, especially from some of the legislators, is don't expect new resources. Money is going to be tough to come by, so we're going to have to think real creative what we can do with what we got.
See, now that kind of answer is just unacceptable to me. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying it grows on trees. I'm not that naive, but just to say, well, I guess you're going to have to make do. It's only the kids we're educating, right? I mean, I don't know.
Good argument, but I don't know where we're headed right now. Unless you can give your buddy Jeff Bezos a call and see if he'll donate a billion or so to the schools of Washington. That'd be good. I like it.
It won't hurt. Certainly won't hurt.
No?
Yeah, I'm with Eric on that. It won't hurt. Or who's
I'll give him
Paul
a
Allen?
call.
Vulcan Estate. That's a lot of money out there that could make a meaningful difference. I mean, joking aside, $1 billion or $2 billion could really close the broadband gap as one thing alone.
I'm sure
maybe I'll give little Jeffy a call, see what he says.
I'm sure just the 8 of us here in this room, we could find a good way to spend it. Just throwing.
Well, I saw a tax revenue forecast of the state. Brian, maybe you have visibility on it, but it said that it's increasing right now.
Yeah, I saw that too. But I don't know how much that assuages what I'm hearing as well, that Larry mentioned, which is there's still a shortfall, and especially with education, I don't think anyone has a sour taste in their mouth. Well, maybe some people do. Who knows? This is where it gets political. But obviously, with the McCleary money and a sense of essentially, well, we did what we needed to do. So don't come back to the trough necessarily. Maybe I'm being too cavalier in my thoughts, but that's kind of the sense that I'm getting as well.
Well, the main responsibility that the legislators have to do this year of anything, they have to pass a budget. Everything else is, any other bills is just smart, but they have to pass a budget which means they have to continue the funding to us more than anything. But how that rolls out, I think the legislative listening session, which was that yesterday? Yeah, Eric, you were in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or that we had the education committee folks.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I I think I worry about the messaging around the, as it relates to McCleary, that, it was like, oh, okay, education, basic ed is now fully funded. We're good. Like, one is just the misconception that did it because it didn't address the special ed deficiency. They sort of completely left that out of the mix, but yeah, it's I don't know. There's a lot more questions than answers, that's for sure.
Yep. Well, that's one of those issues. I know we have some input, we can talk to our legislators and stuff. I know I went to at least one workshop that, like a board, we really can't spend too much time on how the legislator is going to fund education, because that's out of our lane. And, we don't really we have some important local issues facing us that we have to focus on, and we'll give input to the legislature and to the funding sources when we can, but that just can't be a major focus right now. We got, we got issues with COVID, we got issues with, learning deficits, as Eric mentioned. Mm-hmm. We got looming on this, coming up with our bonding or our levies that we got to get passed. Mm-hmm. And we got, the other thing in the background here is what we're going to do down the road, one way or another. We've talked about, finding a permanent superintendent instead of going with interims. So there's a lot, there's going to be a lot on our plate.
Yep. Yeah, that was the one, that was that other one that had the panel there, that they were interviewing Larry, and I think, and the issue that we're talking about was, people continually come to him about the sex education bill, the 90, and it's like that's not in our hands right now, so it doesn't do a whole lot of good coming to talk to us about it. Go talk to your legislators about it, not us. Once that, whatever happens to it, may fall in our lap, but until then, we don't have time to spend time on that. And that was a couple of the issues in those those that I attended to, was just those facts regarding what's important to be dealing with and addressing in a board meeting, and what's not within our purview to be working on or to be concerned about. And Eric took this literally as a dinner meeting for sure. He's chowing down over there.
Yeah.
Well, Olivia working at the restaurant made me hungry, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking up there which one I want to order. That's behind her.
Yeah. She's listening. She hears you.
Yeah.
We'll have. Yeah.
I've ordered the. I can never pronounce it. It's right behind her left ear right now. I've had that before a lot.
Well, I certainly hope.
Olivia, do you deliver?
I typically, though, order the kai-bai beef and then shrimp skewers as an extra.
Well, this for me, this ended up being an unplanned fasting day. I had 2 cups of coffee. That's pretty much it.
Wow.
That's okay. I do that anyway on a planned basis. So.
I changed the subject a little bit. I kind of wound down as the conference went on. I attended the law conference all day or all afternoon on Wednesday. It was excellent. Learned a lot. I really enjoyed Lorraine Wilson's presentation. And I think at some point we need to have a version of that presented to us in a workshop, probably. But it was along the same line, OPMIA and things to watch out for. I think her title was "What You Can't Say as a Board Director" or something like that. But it was a good refresher and reinforcer because, yeah, we've all heard that or read that, but as time goes on, sometimes we get a little relaxed and get off track on what we can and can't do. There was a lot about public comment. I really liked it. And one of the things I think we ought to look at is splitting up our public comment, if we're going to have it, splitting it up where some districts, they have public, when they come to, okay, let's talk about the athletic budget. Are there any public comments about the athletic budget? And then when they come to something else, like, are there any comments about specific agenda items? Because right now we kind of have it open and we don't know what they're going to talk about. We just say, come on up. In the good old days, come on up to the microphone and just spew forth. And they made it clear we cannot censor them. They have to be, civil and respectful, but we really can't censor what they say. However, we can say you can only speak to agenda items. And so several districts were dividing. They might have 2 or 3 public comments periods to talk about a specific item, a specific action item that we're getting ready to vote on or something. So it's something to explore. I don't know if that's the perfect answer or not, but that was interesting.
Well, I was hearing a lot of other boards, even though they're doing virtual, they have switched to allow, since they've been doing it so long, switched to allow public comment live. And it's not that we're not making decisions in this forum, but I think that's, I'd certainly love to hear other folks' thoughts on that.
Eric, you were saying.
I listened a little bit. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, you were saying in online they're allowing for live public comments.
Yeah.
I'm personally a big fan of that. Pretty much anything that would reduce the barriers for timely comments. I know the Port of Port Townsend, as an example, they do that. They have a period where folks can virtually raise their hand. And as I think we've been pushed into, Brandino probably remembers, Jim too, I guess, in the past I brought up, boy, I think we should record our meetings. But that wasn't always met with a popular reception. I'm not picking on either the two of them. But, just concerned about, everything having to be a record and this and that. But I think we're being thrust in that direction. And so for something as Wild West as live public comments virtually, I tend to lean towards it. Obviously with the chair's ability to, well, frankly, mute if it gets out of line or out of hand.
So my other elected seat that I've been on this, well, we're up to 11 months, 20 days. The charter review, we've been taking public comments. The platform we've been using there was Blue Jeans, which the county uses. Sometimes it is, I don't know, the bandwidth on it is pretty difficult. And when we're trying to get the public in to sign in and then turn off their mic and turn off their camera, but it's been workable. And it's managed. There's a chat room on the side that we have folks put in if they want to speak, to put comment, or and then between the chair and the vice chair and another one of us, we monitor it to call people. The main challenge is ones that use just the call in and not the video, because it's trying to see who they are and give them that opportunity. And then the city just switched to Zoom, and they are taking comments during their city council meetings, and it's been two in a row. And they have Anthony, their tech guy, he has folks in a waiting room type thing and then brings them up. So
Yeah,
there's
it's
several tools, but yeah,
I was gonna say
it is good that we have more people attending our meetings than we did in person. Except, well, tonight it's just us. I was hoping folks would show up and we could share our meal with them. But
it's
the
the
our
Zoom.
see Olivia with her menu options there to promote bentos right there.
The Zoom one, when you use the webinar function, I think is what the city was doing, because when you have a Zoom account, or if you have the paid Zoom account, you have that option to do a regular Zoom, which is more interactive, but the webinar, I think, is really slick, and it gives you a lot more control. When somebody's ready to bring up, then you bring them up as a panelist, then you can put them back. That would be an ideal platform if we were going to go that direction, I think.
And I watched a little bit of the hearing that the city is doing on the mat clinic with the that was pretty interesting, because I think it's the Zoom webinar, but here was the hearing officer in one, and then here was the lawyers, and then here was people doing testimony, and then here was public comment, and just the bandwidth, and then having a tech person that's truly dedicated to that, because I don't want to give more on Tracy, who does such a fabulous job with keeping us all in line. Just don't want to add to those duties at all.
Well, it might be good to look at the WSSDA model too, where people put in the chat box, I want to comment.
Yep.
And then the moderator then opens up. But I think very important that we establish, you can talk about agenda items only, and it's just not you just can't get up there randomly and start talking about anything, because a lot of them, not appropriate. But we got to find a way. I think we got to find a better way to let the community communicate with us. If you attend any of Sandy Hayes's communications, or they're big on communication. So I think we could do a better job. I don't have the answer exactly how we want to do it though, but I think there are some options out there and we ought to look at them.
Well, and speaking of Sandy Hayes, out of North Shore, first congratulations to their superintendent, Michelle Reed, who got Superintendent of the Year. But Sandy was supposed to come over and give us a workshop there, right, when we shut down. And so one of the breakout session was the format or the presentation. But and Jane, didn't Michelle used to work for you? Is that correct? Or
That is correct. She was my assistant superintendent. And now she's just a dear, dear friend. In fact, I was teasing her last night. I said, people want to touch me now that I know you. It could not have happened to a nicer person. She has worked really, really hard.
Indeed. Because that, North Shore was they were the epic center and the test case for it, because they stepped out in front right off the bat and said, we're going to shut down. Why the Department of Health and others was like, wait, you can't shut down. Yes, we can. We've got this going on.
She took a lot of hits for that, but she said it was the right thing to do. They had 26 of their 35 schools with somebody that had coronavirus. And that's before they had markers or tests or knew how contagious it was. And she said, I just can't take a chance with 30,000 people. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very excited for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think you were talking about Sandy Hayes and that workshop we were supposed to have. I'll just bet we could maybe reschedule something like that, but it would be virtual. And so that's something also to think about, that, maybe some of these virtual workshops, we ought to pursue them, because I don't know, getting somebody with all of us in the same room at the same time, it might be a ways off yet. But a virtual workshop with somebody like Sandy or somebody like that would probably work.
Yep, and Sandy, she does that. She's our ledge chair, and wow, it just keeps us moving along timely.
So there we go. We got Lorraine Wilson, Sandy Hayes. We'll come up with some more workshops yet.
Patty,
Because you guys have a
Patty and
you
Cindy.
guys have a few evenings free, right? You got a couple of evenings still free, right?
Sure.
I don't
Order
have.
up food. Have from Olivia's restaurant there.
We'll just
Make
set
sure
it
we're
up.
supporting that restaurant. Yep.
We'll order ahead of time from Bento, and we all sit at home with our food and eat while Lorraine and Sandy tell us what is.
Teach us.
Teach us.
I did see one of them, they talked about scheduling, managing that calendar, I think scheduling thing, but the idea of just having some consistency with, when you do have those workshops, maybe you do have some sort of planned, whether it's every, on this specific day of every month, there is a workshop planned, and just to have that kind of built out, not knowing what might fill that spot, but just sort of have a reserved spot where typically a workshop is done.
I like the name study session over workshop because it means it's our to help us learn, and it's a study hour, study session. I like that terminology too.
I like Eric's idea that the vice president should take charge of that. Didn't he say that? Did he say that?
Yeah,
I think he did.
I heard that. Here, it was recorded.
Well, it's November, and not just said you may want to wait till December before we start obligating, because the same.
I downloaded this app. I know you can't see it well on the. No, it's called Native American Lands app. I think Patty Wood, recommended it in the chat of everything, and basically it shows Squim and the surrounding Nisqually tribe area, and then you click on it, and it takes you to some other links that talks about the three tribe, Lower Elwha, Port Gamble, Jamestown, related maps and more about their language and their history. So it's pretty interesting. And so I got that and downloaded it. That's the only one I downloaded all day. But
well, speaking of that, I think if you were on the opening ceremonies, and Cindy Kelly, she did a fabulous job of the land recognition, and she's the government, and she was attending the Native American Leadership Conference at the same time. So kind of doing what several of us have done, where we're on one screen doing, and then she was in that conference and at the same time. So it was just the understanding and the development of those relationships has come such a long ways in the 5 years that I've been around here. And it was a little entertaining trying to get her signed in last night for our election type meeting, because the links were not working for her.
Yeah, did we ever figure out what the deal was on that?
She had to completely reboot her laptop, and then Tim Garchoff sent her a brand new link, and then all of a sudden, poof, like Star Trek being beamed in. And but I was ready just to keep her on my phone and do it that way, as long as we can keep everybody else from offering suggestions of how to connect there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Because at first I was wondering, well, because when you logged into that, it took you to, you clicked on the first thing, then it took you to another thing to go into the Zoom meeting. And I was like, is she missing that piece? And depending on where you're doing it, because like, I was operating it off my phone and it took me a minute because it was over on the screen further over here. So I'm like, well, that didn't work. What the heck's going on here? But then after I scrolled around, like, oh, wait a minute, I got to click on that to get in.
Nah, she was on her desktop at her office at Dry Creek Water District, and it just kept bouncing her out saying I can't connect. And, but speaks to all of our broadband issues. If we as school board directors just think of our teachers and our kiddos and just the challenges there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have them. We have them all the time work-wise. Matter of fact, I got a text from one of my employees about 4 o'clock, and they're like, "Did your VPN drop off?" I'm not at home, so I don't need VPN. I'm at the office, but so I don't know. And apparently, it dropped off for everyone in our agency for a couple of minutes, and then it came back.
So BPMs, I think all this new terminology, acronyms that are coming out of this, because those three of us here that are in the military, all the volumes of acronyms we use there, and then there's the education acronyms, and now whole new language.
Right.
On what day was the power outage again? Was that Tuesday, Monday?
What was that?
The power outage. When did we have that?
Tuesday.
And just everybody. Oh my gosh!
It's been like
it was like from street to street. Well, I have it over here across the street, but on the north side of the street, they still had it. And
how funny is it that was Tuesday yet? It could easily feel like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Such a crazy week.
I had a work training, and I was sitting in my car outside of Adagio with my hotspot on my work cell phone, operating my computer, and I had my laptop on my dashboard in the pouring down rain, waiting for. I had to meet somebody to get a computer from them. Yeah, for coming from Port Townsend, they were sending over from Port Townsend all the way to Port Angeles, and I contacted her like, no, I'll meet you in Squim. And yeah, well, I'm trying to do this training class sitting in my car. Fun times.
Yeah.
I did contact a couple of the vendors that were online. That wasn't as much fun. I don't think it worked as well as was to hope it did. Plus, you couldn't walk around and get the freebies. I kind of missed that. But I think I talked to National School Board Association. Then I talked to Ednetics because they're cooperating with us. And I took Tracy's lead, and I did talk to Board Docs, the people there, and just told them how excited we were for our new version. That no, they couldn't sell me anything because we already bought it. But that was kind of disappointing. The vendor thing, it was very very difficult to maneuver through there. Plus, you couldn't get the freebies. It's always about the freebies.
Free hand sanitizer.
Yeah, because they always have those little grab bags, and there was either little candies and then the little stuff. Yeah.
I got the pin with the light on it.
Uh-huh.
I still have a couple of those. I think it came from our insurance company, right?
Now I did save some money because typically I'm bidding on things at the school board foundation and then the book sale when it's live, because I'm going through. I want, especially the presenters. You know, they have their books there. So I didn't go spend any more money on books or gift baskets for the foundation. Though I did, Cindy Kelly had her birthday fundraiser was for the foundation, so I donated that way. But yep.
And we we don't have our Sodexo dinner.
Oh yeah, so that's still dinner.
Oh,
Which
that was good. That was a good one.
Yep.
uh-huh.
So Jim, in the past, Jim, the conferences in Spokane are as well attended, more attended, less attended usually?
I think it's about an even mix. Some districts on say this side of the mountain, instead of attending the what we used to refer to as the Legislative Assembly and is now General Assembly, then they would wait to and just attend the annual conference. So what I found interesting though was when it would be at Spokane and you would expect all the districts around that area, and they still wouldn't attend the annual conference. You're like, wait, you had 30 minutes to drive, and we just, we drove 2 hours to the airport, and then an hour flight, and now Brian, if he's still there, he'll tell a story where he left from Spokane in his car, and the same time that it was Gary and I, and see, that was Peyton and Damon, and we were trying to get to the airport. Well, Brian made it home before and I think we were looking out the airport window to see if we could see him along I-90 type thing, but he beat us back.
I won.
He drove.
And I got through a whole audiobook on the way. It was awesome.
Yeah. I get a kick at it. It kind of happens, I'm sure, with these, but sometimes at the statewide conferences or different places, they'll always try to shift it, and they think they're taking care of the whole state. Well, we did one in Seattle, we did one in Spokane, switch it off, and a lot of times we end up getting forgotten about in that because we're even further west than Seattle, and folks don't even realize that we're going to have to drive a few hours regardless. It's just whether it's 3 hours or 6 hours. It's Seattle isn't just like a hop and a skip away for us.
Yeah, the other thing, it's always can be a challenge, and that's the hotel that you're at, and when you're at the hotel where the actual conference is at, then it's kind of like here at your home. I rolled out of bed, grabbed a cup of coffee, a pastry, and signed in. Couple of the hotels we've been in, a mile away or so, and then just going back and forth, that's time consuming. That the last time I was in Seattle, I didn't have a car either, and I was down the road, across the Spokane River, and it was about a half to 3/4 mile walk back, but which was good and brisk. But when you want to just say go back to your room, change out, brush your teeth, take a little mini nap, so which I did a couple of times during these last 3 days.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to back in person maybe for next year.
Maybe.
Yeah, because all those relationships that have been developed, that's what a lot of us on the Ledge Committee, because we're really missing, because a lot of stuff happens later after the meeting at Azteca Restaurant and Federal Way, where we hang out after our meetings. Or
yeah, that's probably the biggest missing piece to all this, is just that that part, hanging out and it, and going to lunch or breakfast or whatever, and sitting at a table with people from other districts that you don't know, and just getting an opportunity to chat with them, or they're like the breakout sessions you were talking about, Eric, where you got an opportunity to do that there. Whereas, if you were in person, a lot of times you're sitting at a table with a bunch of other people you don't know, and then we have a breakout session there, so we get to kind of chat and get to know each other and then hear what's going on with their districts and everything. And I mean, from just the couple of workshops that I've attended, they've been very well put together and good information and all. That's the missing link with all this, is just that not having that opportunity to connect with other people. I see you guys all the time.
Yeah, I wondered what Jane was doing, and on my
know.
Fitbit, I just got an email from her.
Yeah,
got her update. So
the weekly update.
But I saw her working hard at it.
Well,
so
I
that was
wanted
good.
to get it before our 5 o'clock meeting, and the phone kept ringing, and then I had Zoom meetings, and I just couldn't get it done before 5. I thought I just have to do it before.
Well, you still got like 2 hours to Hawaiian time, so you're still
Oh,
good.
yay! So I made it before Hawaiian time.
Yeah,
Yay.
we'll just say that.
Well, and then her board chair was bugging her all day with things too.
Oh no, you guys were great. I was so happy to talk to all of you today.
Well,
I must say, I really appreciate all the communication we're getting from the district office. I think it's real beneficial. Sometimes it's, several attachments, but I sit down and read them all, because you wouldn't send them to us unless they were important. So,
well, thank you.
I really appreciate keeping up to date, to tell you the truth.
It must be hard to read them on your Fitbit, though.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet. That just warns me that I got to go look at my. I do read them on my cell phone sometimes, but if they're long, I'll get on my laptop so I can give them due justice.
What's interesting on that communication topic. So I was talking to a parent yesterday, and they had made a comment regarding their spouse saying that it felt like there wasn't, the district wasn't communicating certain things, and I'd let them talk for a little bit, and I said, I got to tell you, as a parent, I'm a little confused by your statement there. So I actually got my phone out and I pulled up my email. And I'm like, look, this is from Megan, and this is from Megan, and this is from the district, and this has got Jane's name on it, and this is. And he's like, where'd that? I said, you guys might want to check your communication, whatever, your email. Make sure going to Skyward, make sure that all that's up to date, because I'm not saying this as a board member, and I'm saying this as a parent. I've got all this communication. It's like I showed him like 6 emails from Megan in 2 days, like right here, about this and about this. And he said, oh, I'm gonna have to tell my wife she needs to look at that. He said, I don't pay attention to it, but anyway.
Yeah.
So I see Olivia's down there. She doesn't have her mask on. She's ready to talk.
Olivia's dinner rush over.
The dinner rush, it always gets. I was expecting it to be like around 6, and it hit at 5. So I was like, oh, I can't participate as much as I would like to. But the meetings that I did go to, I was really surprised at like how well put together it was, because I didn't get to attend the last one because I was having so many difficulties, and then I got on board with the text system that they had, and then they didn't know what was going on either. And so, but this one I had no flaws, no problems, and it was really nice. I got to talk to. There was a segment yesterday morning, forget what time it was, where I could converse with other students, and that's where I learned where most of them had like a set person where they didn't design the project themselves, they were given it, or given like a foundation of, and then they brainstormed after that. And then so I was like, well, maybe we should get that started going. So I don't know how that would start or like who would help. But if someone would like to help or just has any ideas that I could help with, or better, me and Alyssa team up together.
You came up with a good one the other night, helping with the levies.
Yep.
Helping with the levies, that was your idea. I think that's a good one.
I was going to suggest if you could do something about this pandemic, that would be a.
Yeah, I'll get
Well,
right on that one. Figure it out.
Yeah, I think you know, to that point though, that was something Robin was trying to really you know, push and headline, you know, when she was on the board, and you know, kind of be that student liaison from the board as well, that kind of fell off as she left the board. But no, that's a definite good you know, good point, is, you know, having us from the board or someone from the board to help drive that piece for you.
I'm like, because I can do projects all day long, but it's to help the board is what my goal is not just the community, to help you guys too.
So Olivia, did you recently speak with the WSSDA board? Because Monty Anderson, he's a director in it's either White Salmon or it's down by Vancouver, and he sent me a meeting hub note, said, hey, your student rep Olivia is doing a great job. And so he must have been from something. Well, you do a great job, but this other board director from another area was giving you high kudos. So.
Thank you. He actually, Logan wanted me to do a video just answering a question about what I do as on the board and like what I hope to achieve. And so I videotaped myself doing that, and that's probably what they're talking about, because I haven't done anything besides that.
All right. Well, thank you. Oh, dinner rush. Second rush is in.
If the mask goes up, she's got other things to do.
Hopefully she's not feeling obligated necessarily. If it's a lot to juggle to be on here, certainly we would understand.
Yeah. Well, she's pretty good, you know. She's very quick and efficient at her job.
Yeah, looks like she's got it figured out. I've heard a lot of things said about kind of some of the work ethic type things about some of our high schoolers and whatnot. But boy, the handful of ones I know, I don't see it, including my own daughter. In fact, my own daughter, I don't know if y'all know my Madeline. She's working at the chamber, and from a work ethic perspective, I don't know. It's I'm just surprised to see the difference. I don't see it quite the same at home with certain chores around the house, but when it comes to time to work, to actually go, it's like she is all about it. So I'm gonna.
That's what you want. Get them ready. Get them ready for life. Well, again, I think at some point, hopefully we can sit down and start talking about our long range plans. And I don't mean goals, where do we want to be as a board in 5 years? Or where do we want the district to be in 5 years? Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to have to move on with that and not worry exactly what happens tomorrow with COVID, although that's extremely important. But I'm not sure, we just can't flounder until the COVID gets cured.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, Larry.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what all those that might look like or how to do it, but we need to do it. And that was kind of the emphasis of some of the talks. You know, we got to think big, think creatively, and maybe challenge ourselves to do it differently than we have been in the past. And COVID's kind of kicked us in the butt to get us down that road. So
I love the, I mean, the one thing I think I've heard everybody mention at one time or another, and certainly heard this at the WASDA as well, you know, the little silver linings where they can be found is just with the virtual and, you know, folks accessing board meetings more. Definitely should kind of make that a part of things moving forward, however it looks, if it's in a hybrid fashion or however. But I think folks accessing it more is a good thing.
I think some good things will come out of this. It's that you know, we've found that yes, we can reach every student, or at least try to reach every student, and we ought to continue that no matter what happens. We've probably found some students that are you know, a few students that thrive on this remote learning that maybe didn't show up as well in the classroom. So, you know, I think we need to look at all those and see what have we learned from this experience that we can apply in the future.
Hey, here's a calendar item. Sorry, that just came in that I don't think it's gone out to everybody, but I'll double check. But I think, Larry, you attended it with me last year, that our ESD 114 is having their annual legislative engagement. And it's on December 11th at 9:30 a.m. And I received an invite via Tina Schultz, who's the assistant to the ESD superintendent. So I'll make sure that it comes out to everybody.
Didn't Port Angeles also suggest we meet with them and the legislators at some point?
Yeah,
Cindy, meeting. Kelly and I are working on that to try to, because working on the 3 legislator schedules, which right now is starting to turn busy for them. But we're trying to pin them down.
Sounded like we might be expanding that to a few other school districts on the peninsula if they're available. Did I hear that?
Yep. The ones that, you know, are in the 24th type thing, because then we, you know, got them all there together, but we're
Thanks, Jim. Because I haven't had an update from Marty for a couple of days. We haven't talked about that. I've talked to Marty several times. I just haven't talked to him about that. So.
Yeah, it's Cindy. You're welcome. Cindy was we're on something else, and then she goes, "Hey, Marty asked me to try to pin down the legislators," and I went, "Okay, we can do that." And I know that some of their meetings they're planning for the session meetings are ramping up, and so we are diligently trying to get them in one Zoom room at one time, or which should be doable. Well, you would think it'd be doable because they don't have to drive. It's those assumptions, those evil assumptions. Part of it, you know, Senator Vanderweg, he's got his fireman duties.
Which just makes sense too. I mean, you know, there's going to be so many of the issues that are going to align. Let's, you know, have that discussion. And
yep.
Well, there's power in numbers as well.
Exactly, and that's another one of the positive things here is that that one voice, and we are going to have, I believe, greater access to the legislators while they're in session, because, you know, I'm looking at Olivia. She can sign in during a hearing as she, either at the restaurant or in her studies. And so can Alyssa or any of our other, other students when we're wanting to find a student panel to testify. I mean, we don't have to drive that, basically 5-hour round trip down to Olympia.
Yeah.
And the meal and the food and usually it's getting up at old dark 30. Now Jane gets up at old dark 30. But and try driving down the canal during this time is and that I've done that many times, and it's you're out there and then all of a sudden the raccoon runs across the road, or the elk is in the middle of the road, or you're behind a logging truck all the way down to Shelton. Can't get around them. But now this actually is that the access that I think that we'll have for hearings is just a tremendous opportunity. So
Yeah.
And that was part of the last session I was in, where Marissa and Logan it was on legislative engagement. And so I'll share more of that out. It'll probably attached in an email to Director Area 4 thing. So, but that's the positive stuff.
Speaking of communications, without going into details, Jane, I assume the superintendents on the Olympic Peninsula are mulling over this COVID crisis and the uptick, and what are we going to do, and what should we do?
We Zoomed. Yes, we've talked a number of times by phone this week, and we Zoomed last night, late yesterday afternoon. And then we Zoomed again this morning, and people are, everybody is so concerned, as you can imagine, because the cases are going up. So I think that since this morning, I don't know if things have changed for the other 3 districts, which would be Port Angeles, Forks, and Crescent. They're holding steady right now, staying in school. One of the things that one of them did tell me, though, was they're going to be mulling over during Thanksgiving on what to do next, because the cases, as they've rolled, they're rolling from east to west. And so I have a feeling that the school districts on the western end are going to be, where we are now, just based on watching what's happened. I mean, Port Townsend and Jefferson County has just taken off. Not in a good way. And they were below us forever. I mean, They had fewer cases than Calallam County for absolutely until probably 2 weeks ago. And now they are just skyrocketing. So I don't know what Port Townsend and Brennan decided to do today, but I will tell you that Chimacum and Quilcene have decided that Chimacum, as of today, will do remote learning starting Monday. And Quilcene, I believe also today, they start on Monday. And Port Townsend and Brennan were meeting with Dr. Locke at 4:30, and they were going to make a determination at that point. But my guess is, and it's just a guess, is that even if they don't do remote learning starting Monday, they will probably after Thanksgiving, just because the cases are so high in the surrounding districts. Have gone remote, but I think it's just the worry anyway. So yeah, so I have talked to the superintendents. I've talked to the superintendents in Clallam County individually, together as a group. We've talked regionally as superintendents. I've talked to Dr. Unthank personally yesterday. I talked to her, and then she emailed all of us, and I included in the weekly update her email to the 4 of us, to the 4 Clallam County superintendents. And so she's, she just asks to be notified if things change. And so, we all said, yes, we would notify her. And I also made the promise to the other superintendents that if we have any changes, that I would let them know. And so that would be next week when I would let them know. I'm not, so we have been in contact. it's just a really difficult decision when everybody's having to decide for their own school districts rather than having, here's the framework and this is what we're working from. And when you reach this milestone, then you do this. Or when you reach this milestone, then you get to bring all the kids back. And we have the decision tree, which I've been looking at and waiting for the new one. So, we're not using that exclusively because, we're twice as many for the high category than is on the decision tree. So yes, I have been in contact with the superintendents. Make a short answer really long, yes.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's real important, especially with we'll call it our immediate neighbors, which I consider Chimicum, Port Townsend, because and then Port Angeles, because it's so much interactions going on. Forts, a tree could go down on 101 and then we're good. They can stay with their vampires and werewolves out there. And then it's, quite the trip to get to Cape Flattery for us. And, but just the community interactions that occur between Port Townsend, Chimicum, and then Quilcing. So it's, yep.
Well, and just so that's when I was saying earlier, and that Dr. Fryant, and plus getting bugged by the board chair and vice chair throughout the day. That's what the bugging was about. Was just we've had a couple of conversations as well, also. So appreciate the call and response and everything. But just yeah.
So yes, we're working on it, and people's anxieties are high right now. They just are,
Yeah.
and I certainly understand that from a personal point of view, to a parent's point of view, to a staff point of view. You just, yeah, it's so unpredictable. So.
And these two holidays are coming up, as opposed to the other previous holidays. This is so ingrained with family relationship, and that's
and indoors too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and then you have the added travel restrictions. So, and there's a balance there to make sure that, anyway, yeah, there's just a lot.
Well, and when you look at the numbers and the cases and the tracking of it, those are typically where these issues come from. That whether it's a 4th of July party or a gathering at people's house, or people that are coming from Seattle over to here to visit family and go back, or vice versa. That's where it's all coming from. It's it's not the customers that are walking in the door that Olivia's seeing right now, that we're tracking that to, that, it's those cases. And, Thanksgiving's coming up next week. We get 10, 20 people in a house together, celebrating together. Just a recipe for disaster.
It is. It will be interesting because, as you said, Labor Day and 4th of July, and people could be outdoors.
Yeah.
Right. Now it's cold and chilly and nobody wants to sit outdoors and eat turkey.
Well, I used to in Hawaii, but
well, there you go.
And in Puerto Rico, but here it kind of depends. But
I'll tell you, there'll be no turkey on Thanksgiving for me. My mother, well, I don't know if you know this, but I lived a number of years, 10, 15 years out in New England and in Maine for a while. I'm not sure if I've shared that with
everybody. You got the Maine accent every now and then, so.
Anyways, my mom, as a surprise, she sort of asked, but she is overnighting Maine lobster for us.
Oh, yum!
Oh, well, what time do you have?
That's right. Well, I'll stand outside your house, Eric. I won't even come in.
I don't think that's allowed with the current restrictions, unfortunately. So you'll have to be there in spirit.
About a half a mile. I think I'll be parked out front honking, going, "Hey, where's my Where's my pickup?
Curbside delivery, man. Curbside delivery.
Yeah.
Well, that is fabulous.
Yeah, it was, yeah,
Yeah.
very thoughtful of her. And it's, certainly not a cheap endeavor either to get it, overnighted and all, or however it comes, but it's like an immediate ship sort of thing. So
Wow.
that's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
exciting. It's
That
one
is-
thing
Has the
We have lots
box
of
been
melted
delivered,
butter.
Eric?
what's that?
Has the box arrived yet?
No, not till Wednesday night, but
Okay. What time?
Oh, man.
well, I missed what you said, Jane.
Oh, I said, make sure you have lots of melted butter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, that is just, I mean, that, I am excited for you.
Been a long time. So, and well, normally we'd be going back. This was my wife's family is all from Massachusetts and New England area, and every other year during Christmas usually is when we go to that coast for the Christmas break. And this was supposed to be the year, but we're not going. And so, yeah, and usually during the summer we take a trip up to Maine, and because that's where we used to live, so we have friends up there. But my mother-in-law has a beach house up there, and of course, Maine lobster is just a tradition for us, and so it's been a long time. So
Well, it will be really, oh, enjoy. Your whole family will love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, take pictures and share with us. We'll appreciate it.
I will.
Yeah, if you wanna leave a little bag on the back porch or something on the street, if just the leftover meat, or something,
Oh, I'm sorry to break this to you, but we don't do leftovers when we do lobster. There'll be shells. That's about it.
Yeah.
There you go. Leave him a bag of shells on the back porch. You can smell it. Yeah.
Well, Eric, since you were on a ship similar to mine, and we'd get the special lobster dinners, and it's a friend of mine, Keith Wepley, he was from Maine, and we would walk around going, are you going to finish that? Or, are you? Because we'd have people that was like they didn't want to touch the lobster, and we're like, we'll help you with that. We'll finish it for you.
Yeah,
That thing.
I do miss. Sometimes we would really get treated when we were on the ship for certain meals that way. They would kind of spoil us, and all of a sudden it'd be like T-bone steak, or just all sorts of great stuff. And yeah, I do sort of miss. Well, two things I kind of miss from being underway was the food. The other piece was, I don't know if you had this, or Brandino, you might have had it too. I'm not sure, but we would get the armed services movies that would come out before they would, while they were still in the theaters, we would get to watch them on the ship. And it was, I don't know, I think it was all the branches somehow had them. But yeah, that was a nice perk too.
Yeah, and I'd come back from patrol, and my daughter would like, hey, we're gonna go see this movie, and I'm like, yeah, I saw it like 6 times underway, but okay, I'll go with you, honey. Because
Yeah, we didn't have them on the ship. We had them at the country club after we played golf.
That's right, Eric. We're talking to a Zoomie that was, they put their golf courses in before they do anything else.
Yeah.
Or
That's right.
they had to make sure
We
their golf
actually got to
bags were
preview
packed on the
movie
plane.
at the country club before they sent it to you in the ship. Hey, so here we are talking about food, and we're watching Olivia serve food all evening. And as I stated earlier, I've literally had 2 cups of coffee today, and we've got the final thing coming up here at 7 o'clock. And I know we're scheduled through 7, but we don't have to hang out. So I'm thinking I would like to get a little bit of food in my stomach before the 7 o'clock evening event comes up.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
then I might be able to enjoy a cocktail at that point, but not without food.
Yep, I'm with you, and I've got some reading to do because I just got an email. Thank you very much from Jane.
Yeah.
So
All right.
We got
thanks,
homework.
Paul.
Homework.
Well, this was fun
It
Yeah.
was fun.
seeing everybody tonight, and
Bye, Olivia.
bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tracy. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Next
Have a
time
great
we order-
weekend.
All right.
Thanks, Tracy. We'll see you Monday.
Time we
Yep.
we
And
ordered
I gotta-
gold from
Yeah.
I gotta get some sleep, Tracy, before I go hang all that stuff up in Colleen's garage tomorrow.
I'll trade you. Want to work the garage sale?
Oh, Colleen's my neighbor now too.
I know. I'm gonna pass your house tomorrow.
Okay.
Honk as I go by. Bye.
All right.